blood didn't just vanish. It was hidden, scrubbed, diluted, and pushed out of sight. But months later, science pulled it back into the light. What investigators eventually uncovered inside a seemingly ordinary bathroom would shatter early assumptions, dismantle public claims, and rewrite the timeline of what truly happened to 6-year-old Lily Sullivan. Before we go any further, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you get first-hand updates on this story and others as they continue to unfold. When authorities first searched the home, nothing immediately suggested a violent incident. The bathroom appeared clean, dry, and unremarkable. Early searches relied on visible inspection, standard swabbing, and surface-level assessments, methods that can miss what has been deliberately concealed. At the time, investigators had no clear reason to believe blood evidence existed there at all. But as the case evolved, inconsistencies in statements and mounting circumstantial evidence prompted a return to the scene with more advanced forensic tools. Months later, forensic teams re-entered the bathroom with a different mindset. This time, they were not looking for what could be seen, but for what had been erased. Using chemical reagents designed to react with trace biological material, investigators began testing surfaces that had previously appeared spotless. Walls, grout lines, drains, fixtures, and even ventilation openings were examined in detail. What followed marked a turning point in the investigation. These advanced techniques revealed the presence of blood that had been intentionally cleaned away. The evidence was not obvious to the naked eye, but it was widespread. Tiny traces appeared across multiple surfaces, suggesting that the original presence of blood had been significant before cleanup efforts began. Investigators noted that the distribution of the traces did not align with accidental smears or isolated spills. Instead, it pointed to an event that required sustained effort to conceal. The timing of this discovery was crucial. By the time the concealed blood was found, public narratives had already formed, and early assumptions had taken root. The idea that no crime had occurred inside the home was quietly unraveling. What investigators now faced was proof that something serious had happened, and that someone had gone to great lengths to hide it. This discovery reshaped the investigation entirely. It validated earlier concerns that the initial searches were incomplete and reinforced the importance of revisiting scenes with fresh eyes and evolving technology. Most importantly, it established that the bathroom was not a neutral space. It was a focal point, one that held answers long buried beneath water, chemicals, and time. Once the presence of hidden blood was confirmed, investigators turned to luminol testing to understand its extent and pattern. Luminol reacts with iron and hemoglobin, producing a glowing blue light in dark conditions. When applied in the bathroom, the results were immediate and alarming. Large areas lit up, revealing patterns that told a far more troubling story than anyone had expected. The patterns observed were not consistent with minor childhood injuries such as a scraped knee, a nosebleed, or a small cut. Instead, they suggested pooling, directional movement, and repeated attempts to wash blood away. Streaks along walls and fixtures indicated wiping motions. Concentrated areas near the floor and drains suggested gravity-driven flow rather than incidental drops. Forensic analysts compared these patterns to known injury scenarios. Accidental childhood injuries typically produce limited, localized staining. They do not result in widespread coverage across multiple surfaces. Here, however, the luminol revealed a scene that had once been saturated. The blood had been diluted with water, spread through cleaning, and partially flushed into drainage systems, but not eliminated. One particularly concerning finding was the height of some of the patterns. Blood traces were detected higher than what would be expected from a child simply bleeding while standing still. This raised questions about movement, force, and the nature of the incident itself. Investigators became increasingly confident that the bloodshed was neither trivial nor accidental. Equally important was the absence of corresponding injury reports. No medical records, no emergency calls, and no documented incidents could explain this volume of blood. That gap between evidence and explanation deepened suspicion and eroded the credibility of earlier claims. Luminol testing did more than reveal blood, it revealed intent. The uneven glow across surfaces showed where cleaning had been thorough and where it had failed. It exposed the limits of the cleanup and demonstrated that the scene had been altered deliberately. What once looked like an ordinary bathroom was now unmistakably a crime scene. Finding blood was only the first step. Identifying whose blood it was would determine the direction of the entire case. Samples collected from the bathroom were sent for DNA analysis, including swabs from walls, fixtures, and drain components. The results left no room for doubt. The DNA profile extracted from the blood matched 6-year-old Lily Sullivan. The match was conclusive, supported by multiple samples taken from different locations within the bathroom. This ruled out contamination, transfer from another source, or misidentification. Lily's blood had been present there, and in significant quantity. This confirmation carried enormous weight. Until this point, some narratives suggested Lily had never been harmed inside the home. Others implied she had left the house alive. The DNA evidence directly contradicted those claims. It established that Lily had suffered a bleeding event in that bathroom, one serious enough to leave traces throughout the space. For investigators, this was a defining moment. The case shifted from uncertainty to clarity. Lily was not merely associated with the location. She was central to what had happened there. The bathroom was no longer just a place she had used. It was a place where something went terribly wrong. The DNA findings also eliminated alternative explanations. The blood could not be attributed to another child, an adult, or an unrelated incident. It was Lily's, and it was everywhere. That reality forced a re-evaluation of timelines, statements, and alibis provided earlier in the investigation. In the broader context, this evidence became one of the strongest pillars of the case. DNA does not rely on memory or interpretation. It speaks with scientific certainty. And what it said here was devastating. As investigators expanded their search, attention turned to the plumbing system. Drain traps are designed to hold water and prevent odors from rising, but they also preserve materials that pass through them. When forensic teams removed and analyzed the drain traps from the bathroom sink and tub, they uncovered another critical layer of evidence. Inside the traps, they found Lily's DNA mixed with unusually high concentrations of industrial-grade cleaning chemicals. These were not typical household residues. The chemical profile suggested repeated, aggressive use of strong cleaning agents, far beyond what would be expected from normal hygiene or routine cleaning. This finding was significant for several reasons. First, it confirmed that blood had been washed down the drains. Second, it demonstrated that cleaning efforts were not casual or spontaneous. Someone had intentionally used powerful chemicals to break down biological material and eliminate visible evidence. The presence of Lily's DNA in the drains also showed that cleanup occurred shortly after the bleeding event. Biological material does not remain intact indefinitely in plumbing systems. Its preservation indicated a relatively narrow window between the incident and the forensic examination. Experts testified that such chemical concentrations are rarely seen in residential settings unless there is a specific reason. Combined with the DNA evidence, this pointed to a deliberate attempt to erase what had happened. It was not about cleanliness. It was about concealment. This discovery further weakened claims that nothing unusual occurred that night. Drains do not lie. They quietly record what passes through them. And in this case, they recorded a story of blood, chemicals, and urgency. As all these findings were pieced together, a clear picture emerged of the cleanup itself. This was not a quick wipe or rushed rinse. The evidence showed a prolonged, methodical effort to remove blood from every possible surface. Multiple cleaning agents were used, indicating repeated attempts over time. Some chemicals were applied, washed away, and then reapplied. This pattern suggested persistence and concern, not indifference. Investigators noted that even areas rarely cleaned during normal household routines had been treated, including behind fixtures and inside vents. The level of effort required pointed to awareness of the seriousness of what had occurred. Routine cleaning is inconsistent and limited. This cleanup was comprehensive and focused. It targeted blood specifically, even where it could not be seen without forensic tools. Such behavior carries implications. It suggests panic, calculation, and intent. People do not engage in hours of deep cleaning without a reason, and they certainly do not use industrial chemicals unless they are trying to eliminate something more than dirt. This finding became a cornerstone in establishing consciousness of guilt. It showed that whoever cleaned that bathroom knew exactly what they were trying to remove and why. Despite the extensive cleanup, not everything could be reached. Ventilation ductwork above the bathroom captured microscopic blood particles that cleaning efforts missed. These particles were preserved in areas inaccessible without specialized tools or disassembly. Forensic specialists explained that airborne droplets can travel upward during violent events or aggressive cleaning. Once inside the vents, they settle and remain undisturbed. When tested, these particles reacted positively, further confirming the presence of blood throughout the room. This discovery reinforced the conclusion that the original bloodshed was substantial. It also demonstrated the limits of the cleanup. No matter how thorough, it could not erase every trace. Science filled in the gaps left behind. Fiber analysis added yet another layer. Investigators recovered microscopic fibers embedded in grout, drains, and textured surfaces. These fibers matched common cleaning cloth materials and showed signs of chemical saturation. The fibers were not randomly distributed. They appeared in areas consistent with scrubbing and wiping motions. This supported the conclusion that surfaces had been physically worked over repeatedly, not just sprayed or rinsed. The combination of fibers and chemicals told a clear story. Someone scrubbed that bathroom intensely, using soaked cloths, in an attempt to remove blood completely. By analyzing drying patterns, chemical residue breakdown, and biological degradation, forensic experts were able to establish a timeline. Their findings placed the bathroom incident firmly on the evening of May 1st. This timing aligned with other pieces of evidence and contradicted later claims about events the following morning. It narrowed the window and focused attention on that specific night. What began as a clean room became the loudest witness in the case. Advanced forensic science exposed what human eyes could not see and what early searches failed to uncover. The bathroom evidence did more than reveal blood. It revealed intent, timing, and truth. It showed that Lily Sullivan's story did not end quietly, and it ensured that what was hidden would not stay buried. In the end, no amount of water, chemicals, or time could erase what science was determined to find.